It's become one of the most famous voices in the world. Donald Trump speaking to veteran US journalist Bob Woodward.
Hi, Bob.
My whole life has been deals. I've done great. Far greater than people understand. I respect Putin. I think Putin likes me. I think I like him.
Law and order, Bob. Law and order.
I will consider this one of my greatest achievements. Getting the scum out of government and its scum.
Sir, you're going to be judged by how you handle the virus.
Nothing scares me. If I was scared, I wouldn't be doing an interview with you today. I'd be under a table with my thumb in my mouth, okay?
The recordings were the raw material for Woodward's 3 best-selling books about the Trump presidency. Trump is expected imminently to announce his candidacy for the next presidential election. Woodward has chosen this moment to release an audio collection of his exchanges with the former president. The audiobook was produced by Claire McMullen. Bob Woodward, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
You've already published 3 books about Trump's presidency. What made you want to publish these audio recordings?
This is completely different than the Trump on the printed page because you hear his voice, you hear his thunder, his kind of his self-satisfaction, often his smugness. And when you hear that, it notches up in, I think, a very important way, your understanding of who he is and the extent to which, quite frankly, he does not understand the job of President of the United States because he's always so focused on himself. The question is, how did you decide, okay, I'm going to give that Law and Order speech?
So that was an easy speech for me to write. Usually I write them and or substantially adjust them.
Did somebody help you?
Yeah, I get people, they come up with ideas, but the ideas are mine, Bob. Mine.
And
Want to know something? Everything's mine.
You've written books about 10 US presidents. What is it about Donald Trump's personality expressed in that line, everything is mine, that sets him apart?
Yes, that's an important question. I never have heard any of the 10 presidents I've written about, including Nixon, on his secret taping system. There is often an arrogance on the part of Nixon or other presidents, but the idea everything is mine, it's not.
Donald Trump lost the presidency, he lost the House and the Senate. Political parties usually repudiate losers, but he continues to have a hold on the party. This is a new phenomenon.
You've changed the Republican Party. You realize that?
95% approval rating. Nobody's ever been at 80. You know, Ronald Reagan was 87.
Okay, is this a movement?
No.
Who's the heir?
And I'll tell you what, the heir will have to be determined. That's to be determined. As an example, the Republican Party has always been known for disloyalty to each other. Okay, they always broke up. I will say this, and this isn't a threat, because it's not a threat, but if they won against me, they all lose their election.
He obviously lost in 2020, but he has tens of millions of supporters out there. They like him. I think lots of people believe in his tax cuts. I think they believe in his defiant, aggressive personality, which comes through with every utterance. Here he is literally saying, you know, if they go against me, I'm going to beat them. They're going to lose their elections. There's a lot of arrogance in that, but there is a lot of truth also.
There is contempt, even hatred for Trump's opponents throughout the recordings. Here's one excerpt.
He didn't respect Obama, didn't like him, didn't respect him, thought he was an asshole. Okay. Bush was too stupid to know what was happening. Bush has no clue.
I think Trump hates anyone who opposes him or is the opposition. And the emotion, I mean, out of his own mouth, hate. And that's such an ugly driver of politics. When Nixon resigned in 1974, he memorably said, "Always remember, others may hate you, but those who hate you don't win unless you hate them, and then you destroy yourself." Your new national security advisor, O'Brien, said to you on January 28th, "Mr. President, this virus is going to be the biggest national security threat to your presidency." Do you remember that?
No. I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic. No, I don't take responsibility for this. I have nothing to do with this. It was no fault of mine, and it was no fault of anybody's. This happened, except maybe China.
He seems to be driven by a grievance that he had to deal with the virus.
Well, that's what he says. He says, oh, I was on to winning re-election by 10 or 15 points, and along came this virus in July of 2020, when 140,000 people had been killed in this country. I'm interviewing Trump about this, and he says, don't worry, we've got it under control. I almost had to strap myself in my chair, and I said, you don't have it under control. Then when I asked what's the plan, he said, oh, we'll have a plan in 104 days. I went, what's he? Oh, 104 days is the election. This was all about the election.
The elections are upon you now in Washington. What will Trump's successful candidates do in Congress?
Well, if they win, if the Republicans win the House, there's a whole list of things they're going to do. First of all, abolish the January 6th committee that's investigated in a rather amazing way the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. It's very clear from the evidence that Trump was egging them on, encouraging this. So they'll abolish that inquiry. We've learned a lot, but I understand they're still doing work. So the idea that that would be cut off, that you are going to pivot the whole government, it's a calamity for a democratic government. There needs to be, okay, we're going to have a fight, and then we're going to agree and move on. And of course, Trump has not really permitted the country to move on.
These recordings take us right inside the first Trump presidency and to an extent inside Donald Trump's mind. What would a second Trump presidency look like?
Well, I think he's learned where the levers of power are. He was not experienced in politics, and he was going through many learning exercises. And I think one of the lessons he learned, and what we would see in a second Trump presidential term, would be the appointment of absolute sworn loyalists into White House key White House positions, senior cabinet positions at the Justice Department, the State Department, the Pentagon, the intelligence community. You're almost going to have to take a blood oath to work for Trump, because he knows that's the way he can absolutely, without condition, work his will. And of course, that is, for him, the end of power, I believe.
On that note, Bob Woodward, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.